So today we are going to talk about the Queen City, and I'm sure my friend will tell us what that means. And actually, this is one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, believe it or not. Today we are talking to my friend Bree. And Bree, how are you today?
Oh my gosh, I am wonderful. It is Friday, whatever that means in real estate. But excited just to have a conversation with you, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And now everyone needs to know that we are talking to one of the best agents this side of the Mississippi. We're on the same side of the Mississippi. So, I mean, you need to really take notes and listen to what this agent has to say because we are going to dive deep into Charlotte, everything Charlotte, and what's going on. So, Bree, can you tell us, of course, who you are and tell us kind of how you
Sure.
got into real estate?
Oh, absolutely. So my name is Bree Vaughan. I've lived here in Charlotte, the Queen City, named after Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg, for my Bridgerton fans out there. And yeah, so I've lived here 14 years, moved here, didn't know a soul, and just kind of really immersed myself in my new city and going to different events, Chamber of Commerce, and have been licensed with Keller Williams for 8 years. Um, a pup mom married to an amazing man named Nigel and our two fur babies. We live here and we absolutely love it. It's a amazing city where there's a lot of transplants here in Charlotte. Where there's not a, we call the people that are locals that have lived here unicorns. But yeah, it's a beautiful, just ever evolving and ever growing city that we've chosen to call home.
I love it. And it's funny because I had no idea that it was one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And another thing I learned, it's like the second largest city for banking. Like New York was
Hmm.
number one, and I think Charlotte was number two, which is awesome. So there's lots going on in Charlotte. And I know you're an expert in the area. You're really involved in your community, involved in lots of groups, and know the area well. So, let's kind of talk about what is going on in Charlotte. Every area of the country is different. So, what's going on as far
Sure.
as real estate?
Yeah, so just a quick stat. There are 117 people that move to the Charlotte area every day.
Whoa.
And we are most certainly a banking city. We're also healthcare, fintech. So there's a vast majority of just like different industries that attract professionals to the area. Center city of Charlotte is, one of those just where you got the eateries and more of the high rises. So a lot of my clients that come in and they as soon as they tell me I'm looking for land, I know we're not going towards the uptown area. But one of the beautiful things that I love about Charlotte is you got Charlotte as a whole, and then you got these areas that are kind of like right outside of the city. So like Belmont, kind of west of the city. Then you've got areas like Huntersville and Davidson that are north of the city, and then areas like Midland, Mint Hill that are also fast growing. Where when a potential client says, "Hey, I'm looking for an area. I don't have to be in the city limits. I want land." That's typically kind of where we'll end up because you're going to get more bang for your buck outside of, the city limits of Charlotte.
Okay, so Charlotte's really fast growing. People are moving there for banking, healthcare, all sorts
Yep.
of things. So I bet over the years, Charlotte has kind of expanded like a lot of growing cities. Isn't
Hmm.
Charlotte really close to the South Carolina border, kind of?
Yeah. You can literally kind of
Okay.
do a tango and be in both states at the same time. But yeah, very close to South Carolina. So just at the border, you got like York County, South Carolina,
Mhm.
and there are a lot that travel from South Carolina into the city to work at the larger banks, which also, account for a good amount of the traffic that we see
Mhm.
on an everyday basis. But yeah.
And you guys have a lot going on as far as, those industries bring people in, but also you have a lot of fun things. You know, you have football. You guys have, wait, I think I remember you have something like Kings Island, but it's like amusement park. Is that right?
Oh,
What is it?
Carowinds.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
yep. So
still
there's
have that?
Carowinds. Yep, just over the border in South Carolina. We have like four major teams. We have the Carolina Panthers looking for a greater season this year than most, which would be a massive improvement. We've got the football. My husband's a Brit, so I have to say this right. We've got our
Mm-hmm.
football team. Americans know it as soccer. The Charlotte Football
Hmm.
Club, which we're inaugural season ticket holders for, and that's one of the best parties in the city are those games. A lot of just energy and fun, and we're winning, so that accounts for a lot. And we've got the Charlotte Hornets. So just a lot in the way of, it feels like for me when I was considering moving here, I didn't want anything like New York or a city where I felt like it would just swallow me up. But there's enough here where it feels like a city, yet you still get that dose of suburbia that, makes you feel like you still have some air to breathe and things to do outside of the city.
I love that. It's funny when you said Charlotte Hornets, it took me back to my middle school days because that was my favorite colors, the turquoise and purple. I don't know if it's the same colors now, but I remember
Yeah.
if you had a starter jacket, you were so hot.
Yes, and the Charlotte Hornets, it is like you can find them at your local Goodwill here, but yes, those jackets are still like hot commodities, and the colors are still teal and purple. So
Okay, I just love it already. So now that we kind of know a lot of fun things going on, I mean, there's a lot going on in Charlotte. So as far as the real estate market goes, what's going on? Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market?
yeah, I was just having this conversation not long ago, and we are less than 6 months in inventory. We're at about yeah, just over 3 months of inventory. So it technically makes us in a seller's market. Anything over 6 months transitions more towards a balanced or buyer's market. However, it is a buyer-friendly market where the market that we had of 2021, which I'm sure you would have experienced in Indianapolis, also post pandemic, was where you could throw a price at a wall, pray it stick, and not only does it stick, but it stays there and for a good little while. That market is long gone, and we are in a market where the pricing it's just not a placeholder. It's actually like it's a strategy. It's an event, and you have to be spot on when you're from a seller standpoint when you're pricing, because buyers are, they're smart. They know that they have a slight advantage right now in this market, and they don't have to just take whatever price you're giving them, especially when we're seeing homes that are sitting in triple digit on the market again. And, for a lot of sellers, that's an unfamiliar feeling. And they've not been in what we call a shifting market or transitioning market. So, we have to have those conversations with our sellers of, hey, I know here's where you think that the price should be. And yet here's where our market is saying that, you would be better positioned in order to get a buyer or get to the closing table.
And this is why you're the best agent this side of the Mississippi because you know what you're doing. But in all seriousness, this is so important. Right now, anywhere in the United States, it seems like as long as
Hmm.
you're pricing your home correctly from the very beginning, you have a really good chance of getting that sold quickly for the most money possible. And you're right. Here in Indianapolis, we have about less than 2 months of inventory. However, well, just like you said, if it's not priced right, that's a problem. They'll sit there, we'll do price reductions. So it's really, really important. If anyone watching this video is looking to sell
Yeah.
in Charlotte, pricing it right from the beginning, of course, is so important. Speaking of that, so talk to us about what's the median kind of price in your area?
Yeah. So the median is about $405,000. When I got into real estate, you could get and that was 8 years ago, you could get like a good, like bang for your buck, 4 bedroom home, like in the mid twos, and you were pretty solid. Now under $300,000, you're going to be looking to put in some sweat equity unless, you're going like a townhome route or, something that may have a lower price point, but you can kind of get more bang for your buck. So the purchase power that, we've had before, It's there, yet you're not going to get as much as what you would have gotten. And a lot of times, the buyer, sorry, the people that are in their home and have been for years, they can't afford to buy the same home that they're currently living in,
Mhm.
because the value has gone up. And that's a conversation that we have on the buyer side of, it's, you hear the things about the interest rates and, this person had a 3% interest rate and it's like, okay, like the interest rates are what they are right now. We don't know that we'll see that low of an interest rate in our lifetime. However, the values as well are also going to keep continue to go up. So, it's kind of like, I don't know if you ever, I never could double dutch, right? But, when you're like waiting for your turn to like get in there and try to jump, it's kind of like the market of like, you can stand on the sideline if you want, but like we're still going over here and you got to kind of find your space and get in there because especially if it's the house that you want.
Mhm.
It's good that house is just going to keep going up in value while you kind of wait out on the sideline. So it's important to make sure you have someone that's versed and that looks at the market and studies the market so that they can help you make the most informed decision and, move quicker, and with information on the house that's for you.
Well, and then talking about that kind of 400, $405,000 price range, you know,
Hmm.
how is that affecting first-time buyers? Are they having to kind of go further and further out to find something, or where are they looking? Are there any certain areas that the first-time buyers are looking?
Yeah, yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually have a, first-time home buyer that I'm showing homes to tomorrow, and they're pre-approved at that price point. Actually at 450.
Oh,
However, they want to kind of stay to the mid to lower fours. And the places that we're going to go see, there's maybe one in Charlotte, but most of them are probably within a 30-minute radius of the city. Because they want land, they want there's certain features that if you want these things, you're gonna, have to go out a little bit further to get it. You can come into the city, have your fun, and then, travel the 30 minutes home. But yeah, it's on the outskirts, areas like Matthews, Mint Hill, Monroe is about 45 minutes east of the city. So, it's having those conversations of we've got to be creative and be open-minded to, some people come in with, hey, I just want to be in the Charlotte city limits. And it's like, okay, and we got to be realistic with what's available, what your purchase power is, and where that will take you.
so it's definitely you're definitely able to buy a home under 400. It's just you have to be creative. You have to, kind of work with your realtor to find the right area for you. And I'm sure so there are homes under that price point, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not like HGTV House Hunters, which I was featured on House Hunters, where you go and you're one person's a butterfly catcher and the other person studies ants, and they're looking for a $500,000 penthouse. We have to we have to
Yeah.
be realistic and play within our means, and sometimes people choose to play below their means so that they can save up and not be what we call house poor where they're just, basically making ends meet to pay for their house. And that's what we
Exactly. And
don't
that's
want.
actually really, really smart. I'm proud of them for kind of going below their budget.
Yep.
Well, we talked about first-time home buyers. Let's talk about, and I'll say I love working with first-time home buyers, but this is one of my favorite populations that we're going to talk about because it's growing so big in the United States. Downsizers, baby boomers, what
Hmm.
empty nesters, whatever you want to call them. So obviously, in Charlotte and everywhere else, there's so many that are looking to downsize. So when you are working with someone who's looking to downsize, are there certain areas of the city where there are one level homes that they're wanting to move to, or what's going on with them?
Yeah, there's a variety of things and options. It also depends on, that person and what they enjoy from an like entertainment and a lifestyle, the quality of lifestyle they want. There's a lot of active communities that are like 55 and up. Where there was a seller that I helped years ago sell his townhome in my former neighborhood, and he moved to one of these communities. I mean, they have like kayaking, canoeing, all kinds of activities. I'm like, geez, maybe I should consider an active lifestyle community. But if they're, hey, I want to have that still that social uh, aspect and be able to get out and meet people and feel like I'm still in a community. Those are great options. There's several of them within the city and around the city. And then you have those that they may just want to be at a place where they don't want to do stairs and they just want the one level where they can just relax. I have my in age, my a client bought her first home at 74.
Ooh.
And all of her kids are grown. Her son and his wife were friends and former clients of mine. And she bought a two-story townhome, but that's
Mm.
what her choice is. And, so I just think it's what the person, what they feel like at that space in their lifestyle and their downsizing, what they're looking for. Um, and just being able to show them what options are available. But there are a plenty of them that can just help with kind of choose your own type of home or next step, if you will, in that season. But a lot of them are folks that, have their kids going off to college and they're just like, hey, we're done with this. The same folks that wanted the acreage and moved 30 minutes outside of the city. They're like, hey, what are those penthouses looking like up there now that it's just us? So just depends on the person and what they enjoy and the lifestyle they wish to have.
Well, and that is correct. And sometimes I forget that people who are retiring, downsizing, it's a very large age range from, 50s, maybe sometimes earlier than that, all the way to, 80s, 90s. So we have to
Yeah.
remember that, yeah, like you stated, everyone's kind of in a different lifestyle. Maybe when your kids move out, you want to go experience the city life, like you said. So maybe they're going
Hmm.
downtown or whatever. I love the story of the 74-year-old first time buyer. That makes me so happy because,
Yeah.
that's just something that we do that is just so satisfying. I love helping buyers. So that is awesome. Let's talk a little bit about new builds. And I know since
Hmm.
Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities, you guys have to be building like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing a lot more communities, especially in the market of 2021. Um, the market was just so wild that like even the new build construction community, I don't even know if I said that right, the new home,
Yeah.
they had to, it was where there were multiple offers on a new home, or they
Mm.
had their processes that they had to change because there was so much demand and not enough communities. And I feel like that's kind of started to balance out a bit to where, there's more communities that are coming in. With Charlotte, a lot of the land, if you will, people are building upwards because there's not there's land and there are lots. However, it's getting heavily densed. So
Mhm.
you're seeing more of these communities popping up in the outskirts like Concord or Kannapolis. My client, she bought out in Stanley, North Carolina. So you're seeing those communities pop up. And it just depends on the price range. You have some of those like custom builders like Grandfather Home, or what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. Copper builders that are building in more of the more like prominent areas. But you definitely see where the inventory and the communities are more available and prevalent now than they have been probably within the past year to year and a half.
Do you have any of those Dell Web communities that they're building? Is that in Charlotte like a
Yeah,
more of a
Web.
senior type community that you were talking about? Have you heard of that?
I've not seen that one yet.
Okay, well, it's kind of like what you were talking about where they have every activity, kayaking and whatever. What are
Hmm.
those communities called? What are those called there? I don't know
We
what
just
they're
call them
called.
like active lifestyle
Oh, okay.
communities.
Okay.
Like the one that I had referenced is out in an area called Mountain Island Lake.
Mm.
Sorry, Mountain Lake Island. And and that's kind of the name of that community. But yeah, it's like there's a new area that's being built called the River District. And
Mm.
they've been talking about this for quite some time. And I believe one of the builders there is D.R. Horton, and they've started, putting in their lots and such. So it's just a beautiful and awesome, abundant time for the city where we're still, 14 years ago when I moved here, I feel like the city is still finding its identity and evolving and growing. So it's definitely space and room for someone that would want to come and invest in, a city that's still growing itself.
Yeah, it's so cool. And it sounds like there's so many fun things to do. So let me ask you one last thing.
Sure.
So, is there a certain area of the United States that you see people coming from and then kind of coming to Charlotte?
Yeah, we get a lot of folks from up north, like Ohio. Um, had some folks from Florida, New York, um, Pennsylvania. I feel like we don't get a lot of folks like from the West Coast that come over, but yeah, a lot of folks coming from up north and a good amount from the south, but it's a very like easy city where you literally can get to the beach in within 2 hours,
Mm.
and you can get to the mountains within like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then the beach, if you have a heavy foot like me, probably two, but probably closer to three, if you're driving the speed limit.
Wait, now what beach are you guys kind of closest to?
Yeah, so well, Charleston is 3 hours away. There's like
Oh,
Sullivan Island and Folly Beach.
oh,
Myrtle Beach is about 3 hours.
okay.
Um, 3 to 3.5 hours away. Wrightsville, which is in Wilmington, North Carolina, is like 4 hours. And then Asheville is just under like 2 hours from here, um, for the mountains. But then there's like Crowder Mountain that a lot of people will go to and
Mm.
hike. I'm not one of those people. However, there are a lot of people that that will go.
Listen, I'm not camping, I'm not hiking, I don't care. I
Mm-mm.
will go to the beach. I'm all about it, but I'm not outdoorsy, if you will. That's
Nope.
so fun that you say that though, because when you think about it, people are looking to move to places where you're just a few hours from things. So my favorite place is the Outer Banks, which I know is kind of
Mm.
far out in North Carolina, but North Carolina is huge. Oh my gosh,
Oh
it's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
I remember my grandma used to live in Eastern North Carolina, and from Indiana we would drive. But through North Carolina, it would take hours upon hours upon hours. And I mean, I swear it's like the longest state in the world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
What part of North
North
Carolina
Carolina.
though? Eastern North Carolina.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it was Wilson, North Carolina. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Listen, I was born in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which
There's
Wilson,
no way. There's
yes,
no way.
Edgecombe County. My grandparents, they're both deceased now, but I still have an uncle that's there. The Rocky Mount, the home of Hardee's. I have an uncle whose birthday was yesterday that lives in Wilson, North Carolina.
Okay, Bree, listen to me. Listen to me. My whole life, we would drive there, and it was 14 hours exactly from
Yeah,
Indy to Wilson. And of course, back in the old days, there was literally nothing there. My
right.
grandma actually lived in Bailey, which is right there by Wilson. But here's a fun fact for you. When I was in high school, in the end of ninth grade, my parents decided that my grandmother needed help, and I went to high school in Wilson for the last 3 years of high school.
Wow.
Yes, wow. Let
See,
me tell
I
you,
who would have known?
it was so interesting to go from Indianapolis to Wilson. You have no idea. It was it was no, but you know what? I would never change it. It was amazing experience. It's two totally different places. And let me tell you,
Very.
my very first job out of high school was at the Rocky Mount Holiday Inn because my major was hotel management.
I love it. I
Oh,
thought you were going to say Terrytown Mall, which was
oh.
a very popular mall in Rocky Mount.
Oh man, that's one thing about North Carolina. Back in the day, so Wilson had its own little mall in Rocky Mount. But if you wanted to go to the really awesome mall, you had to drive like an hour to Raleigh. And I'm
Yeah.
like, can you imagine these days driving an hour to the mall? Like,
No.
No.
Now, what's funny about that too is there was an episode of House Hunters where they referred to Wilson as a suburb of Raleigh, and I was like, "There's no,
Oh.
there's no possible way that Wilson is a suburb of Raleigh, it being an hour and change away." But yeah,
Oh, that is so funny. Well, and you know what? I think, I mean, I don't know how it's changed, but I maybe now it is, gosh, because everything's expanding so much.
mm-hmm,
I mean,
mm-hmm,
I think I talked to Edie, who's in Raleigh, and I think she was saying it's kind of expanding that way. But
yeah.
you know, good old Wilson. Look, Rocky Mountain Wilson for life, right here.
Listen, I don't.
I love it. I
We
love
are
it.
forever,
Um,
forever binded with that.
Yes, we'll never forget it. James B. Hunt High School. Goodness. It was fun. It was fun. But, you know, that's why I love North Carolina so much, though. The beach, the mountains, you're close to South Carolina, you're close to Virginia, you're close to
Yep.
Washington, D.C. You know, if you want to take a trip over there. So, you know, if you're watching this video and anyone who is thinking about moving to Charlotte, I mean, gosh, I bet so many people are considering it even now because it is the fastest growing city. So, you know, if you are watching this video, please contact me. I'll put Bree's information below the video, but please, she obviously is an expert in Charlotte. She knows everything. She was on House Hunters, for God's sakes. I mean, why wouldn't you want to work with her? Bree, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you for the opportunity and the time, Jennifer. Like, just listen, we would not have known that we were both from Edgecombe and that area, county and that area had we not done this today. So, like, that was worth the price of admission. And yeah, I totally enjoyed the time and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you,
And
Bree.
yeah, if
Have a
you're in
great
Charlotte,
day.
I would love to help.
Of course. We'll put your information below. Have a great day.
Thanks, love. You too. Have a good weekend.
Bye bye.